And like we were talking a second ago, so that intelligence is kicking it back to your CA to make an immediate change to get that claim resubmitted,
Yes.
so that you get paid faster. Which at the end of the day, we all have bills, we all have responsibilities, and we want our returns on our services provided to come back as fast as possible, and not 60, 90, 120 days down the road. So maybe touch on how that kicks back to the workbench for the CA or doc to
Sure. Yeah. All right. So just quickly on that, the crazy thing, now I told you my business partners came from Wall Street and from Princeton, right? So the CIO on Wall Street, he came to the billing world and he's like, what is this that why are you waiting to get paid at all? It's like, I don't understand. And I was like, well, what do you mean? The insurance companies, they have time. They got to process this. I'm giving him, I'm like fighting for the insurance company. I'm like, no, they got to do this. They got to do that. There's codes. He's like, it's all garbage. It's all nonsense. He goes, this is, insurance companies, turns out, make 50% of their money on what's called the float, their profit. Float is not insurance, is interest on your money, meaning you were supposed to get paid today. You didn't get paid maybe a day. The interest on that money, where it should have been in your pocket, but it's in theirs, is how they make 50% of their profit.
Wow.
The whole thing, now on Wall Street, way more complicated transactions happen every single day where there's multiple parties all over the globe, and everybody gets paid by the end of the day by law.
Huh.
So there's a whole other thing. I have an article on how the insurance companies rig this game this way. This was before Trump talking about the system being rigged. It is actually rigged. That they
I believe you.
Yeah, it's built just for delay, right? So, like you said, keeping them accountable to get you paid as fast as possible. So how do you do that? You just have to know immediately when you make a mistake. So, and you need to know in one place. You can't have to find that stuff. So with Genesis, you hit the button. First of all, if you're at the table and you're putting in a new charge or a new diagnosis, a new procedure code, if there's a mistake, it tells you right at the table so that you can fix that, and it fixes the claim going forward. I don't know how much you get to see that, Paul, anymore. But yeah, it tells them right at the table. So the diagnosis code, or there's not a modifier, there's not a link or whatever, you set that today. Now the next day it's going to be fixed. It's going to come up right, but it's the first time you see the patient. That's the first level. The second level is you submit it, something on the account's not right, for example. Like your new patient, the front desk forgot to put their date of birth in. It's not going to go all the way to the insurance company and then all the way back with a denial, right? It's going to immediately hit Genesis validation rules and bounce it right back to your CA. They have one screen of all those upfront, the workbench, all those failures, we call them, right? So it comes right back. It tells them what to do. They can click on the claim, and it right on the same screen, it gives them the place they can fix that right there. And as soon as they fix it, it goes right to the insurance company, right? So, and that could happen for multiple different things, right? You can have the address wrong and the date of birth. What insurance companies love to do is you send it out, comes back with date of birth, send it back out, address, send it back out. It's like ping pong. They love that. That's right. No, we fix it all up front, get it out perfectly the first time every single day. So your claims are going out in real time. As soon as they come back electronically, and Genesis automatically looks through the EOBs and automatically posts them. And then it finds the claims that need to be followed up on and sends those claims back to your biller. If you keep it in-house, and we also outsource. We have outsourced service as well, as you know.
Yep, and I've noticed, honestly, with our practices, that the return, that those deposits into our bank account are faster because of that system, instead of waiting waiting for the insurance to send you paper to say, hey, you need to change the address, and then resubmit, send you paper again. Hey, this is still incomplete. And so we've noticed that our deposits into our bank accounts go up faster because of that workbench, catching it and fixing the problem before it's, detecting the subluxation before the subluxation happens. So
being proactive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So explain to another thing that I like, overseeing, and this can apply for the single doc too, but the live practice analytics, meaning I can see what codes, how many of them, how often they're doing it, and manage, right? Because again, insurance world says we should be whatever, 70% should be an A3/4, 25% or whatever should be an A1/2, and your re-exams. And so the analytics built in that are live, continuously being monitored. Explain how that, I know that's one of my favorite things is regards to management of the practice.
Yes.
That I like the most.
Yeah, so analytics, right, as soon as you log in the system, as you know, that on the top, there's your vital statistics for your billing. One of the numbers that a lot of doctors don't realize when they're looking for billing performance, the accounts receivable older than 120 days. That's not including personal injury, but that AR over 120, that percent of AR over 120, national average is just under 18% across all specialties, all claims. So why that number is important is because once a claim goes older than, and this is actually in all accounts receivable, once a claim goes over 120 days, the chances of you actually collecting it go down to almost zero.
Wow.
So that means if your AR, if anything is over 120, if it were 18%, which is the average, that means you lose 18% of the money you should collect. On average, that's how much doctors lose. That's a ton of money.
Scary. Yeah, a ton.
So with Genesis, you see that number in real time every single day, and we were held accountable to that, right? So, so that number is sitting there, and across all hundreds and hundreds of practices that we do billing for, we're under 7%. So that means that our doctors, on average, collect 11 percentage points more than the average doctor out there doing their own billing, or even outsourcing it, because it's not just doctors, it's actually comparing billing company to billing company. The reason for that is, number one other thing there is that 7%, if it was 8% today and you got all upset, you can click on it and you can drill in and it'll show you what's in that number, and you can look at that report dynamically, like you were saying. You can look at it by CPT code, by insurance company, by patient, all that stuff, and drill into all the way down to the claim level. And again, if we're doing billing for you, I should say follow-up, we're not really billing.
Yeah.
Following up. If we're doing follow-up for you, or you're doing follow-up in your office, there's a full audit trail of everything that ever happened on that claim, what notes were made to the insurance company, if the system made a validation, it shows you everything from the time it was created all through payment. But now reports are awesome for analytical purposes. I hate reports for things that have to be done now, like proactive, like no shows and no future appointments, expired care plans, notes that are not signed. We have all those reports. In Genesis, we separate those two things. We have the reports, but if there's something that's critical, like a note's not signed off, we're going to send you a task. If there's a no-show that happened, it's going to go to a task.
Sorry to cut you off. Explain that task, because that is, I mean, that's essentially the nuts and bolts of getting stuff done timely,
Yeah. At the end of the day, what really matters to driving retention and revenue and compliance is making sure the stuff that was supposed to, and this across, you would have no way to do this in just at your level because you have so many practices, but even in one practice, it's hard. What the reality is that all those things that need to happen in every single visit, there's a lot of little things that have to happen to get every single visit perfect, to give that patient a great experience, to keep them coming back, to get great results, and to refer their friends. It all has to happen perfectly like a machine. It's an experience that they have to get, but there's stuff that has to happen. And in other systems, it's like you have your process on a piece of paper somewhere, you train on it, but you don't know it broke down until the patient's gone.
No.
So with Genesis, we're the technology is creating tasks when those, the way I view them is each one of them are a patient relationship risk. No show, no future appointment. Even you not signing off on a note when you're supposed to, or billing out a visit in real time, that's a risk to the patient relationship, because now their account is not accurate. Now, God forbid, you're not doing notes and that keeps happening. Now you get audited. What's a good way to lose patients when they find out you're getting audited? That's one good way to lose patients. So I don't know if I'm answering your question.
No.
So that we have now, with one screen, you can look across your entire team any point during the day and see how many tasks they have outstanding that they didn't finish. And when you click on the person, you see what tasks they have. And what it does, we call it single point management. No more thousands of reports that you're not going to go look at, because the reality is you are owning a business and you're an actual employee in that business. And trying to be an owner, manager, and an employee is almost impossible. Effective.
Yep.
Right,
It is
so-
tough. And that's one of the brilliant things that I love. It's again, you got your essentially your pie chart and your graph, and it shows you right there live.
Oh, yeah, the radar chart. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah. The radar chart lets you set goals, for example, of I want
new
no shows to be below this.
Yep.
And here's where we are for this month or whatever time frame you set. Yeah, and that's the analytics side where you can see, and then what we teach our docs is, all right, that's the analytics, but what if it's not where you want it to be? What can we build into single point management, that task generation system that'll make sure that that number comes down? Or what integration can we start to use? Let's say no shows is really high. Maybe we want to add a third-party integration like text reminders or whatever the case may be. And the reason why we like to do it that way is, and a lot of software companies, they'll sell you text reminders all day long, and they're great, and they usually bring no shows down. But it's even better when you let it happen without a text reminder, and then you see when you implement it how it actually came down. You can actually quantify how much money that actually saved. Yeah.
No, it's good. And that's, again, like I said, that's one of my favorite things about the system is just that live analytic practice analysis referral tree. You can see exactly what's going on.